Mission.
Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for watching my videos and supporting GunGuyTV the way you do. I'm very, very grateful. Keep in mind we are no longer prisoners of YouTube. We are also found on all of these platforms as well. I'm almost completely done uploading all of the channel to Vimeo. Not quite, but I'm almost there. As soon as I get done with that, I will be uploading entirely and finishing it off on Facebook. So we'll be on all of those platforms completely, and then also Real Video, which I think has changed its name now, and as soon as I get that figured out, they've asked us to join them over there too, and I'll start getting that uploaded as soon as I'm done with the other two. So it's a little bit crazy. I do work for a living, and so it just takes time, but thank you very much for all of your support. I really do appreciate that. Also, very quickly, if you have not already checked us out on Patreon, I ask you to do that. I do have a live stream that happens every month and some exclusive videos. There was a little video about this sweet Elsie that went up a couple of days ago as a preview to what's going to happen today. I'm going to try to get the Patreon folks things early, along with some podcasts that I do, so you might want to check that out. Our link is in the description. All right, what I wanted to talk to you about today was this little Elsie Smith 16 gauge shotgun. This thing is a beauty. It's a little side-by-side, and it is in exquisite condition with case hardening around the side plates, and I mean, it's just a beautiful gun in every respect. Elsie's, little sweet Elsies are a wonderful shotgun that some folks don't even know about. And they're, obviously, Elsie Smith is the manufacturing company, and they were called sweet Elsies sort of as an affectionate slang for the guns because they are sweet as wine. They really are, these little side-by-sides. Elsie Smith started making side-by-sides in about, I think, 1870 something, late 1870s. And Elsie Smith himself was not necessarily a gun designer as much as he was an investor, is my understanding. I know he was very interested in making typewriters and eventually sold the company so that he could go on and make typewriters, and so you probably know the Smith name from typewriter fame, but he also had his name on these guns for a long, long time. Now, the company was bought and sold several times, and it went bankrupt a couple of times because the heyday of beautiful side-by-sides eventually started to fade, and it became something that somebody loves because of nostalgia or because they liked them in the field or whatever. But a lot of the newfangled types of shotguns, if you want to use that old term, newfangled, came out, and they sort of replaced the love of finely made double-barrel side-by-side shotguns like the Elsie Smith. So the market was kind of tough. Eventually in 1945, I think, you'll have to look it up and verify it, but I believe it was 1945, that Marlin actually bought them, and they bought Elsie Smith, and they continued to make them out of the Fulton, New York factory after that, with the, and made them pretty much the same way. Now, this one was built, as best I can determine, was built in about between 1946 and 1948. And I haven't been able to nail it down to the exact year yet, but I've been working on it. But that's about when this was made. And what's interesting is that Elsie Smith's, these old shotguns hardly ever shoot loose. I mean, this thing was built so long ago, and yet if you listen how strongly it breaks open, look, it's nice and tight. Now, I've got some fuzzy snap caps in here, but if I pull these out, you can hear it lock up again. It's just tight as tight could be. This thing is so tight and so strong, it's as if the gun has never been shot. I took it to the trap range and shot some trap with my son and some other things over at the P2K Range, and thoroughly enjoyed shooting it. So this gun was built in the 40s and still is like a brand new shotgun. That's how well these guns were made. Now, unfortunately, in 1949, the factory floor collapsed, and they kind of stopped making them in 1950 as a result. I think they sold off the remaining stock of shotguns because they couldn't make any more, and Marlin closed it. And in the 60s, if I remember right, this is just from memory now, I think Marlin tried to go back and resurrect the side-by-side business under the Elsie Smith name, but it just didn't take off. I think about a year later, they decided to stop. So these things really have quite a following among collectors and people who just love side-by-side shotguns in general. This is an American-made example of a finely made, finely crafted, extremely beautiful crafted side-by-side shotgun. And if you love shotguns, this will catch your eye no matter where it is. So if you ever see an Elsie Smith somewhere, if you've never heard of them before, well, now you have. Make sure that you check them out. Now, as far as I've had people ask me side-by-side versus over-under. This came on the came up the other day on the trap range, and I've shot a lot of trap. My son competed for a while in trap and skeet. And loves to shoot today. And frankly, hunting a lot of my life, I got to tell you, of all the hunting that I do and love to do, bird hunting is my favorite. It's also my son's favorite. So I'm naturally a shotgun guy. So side-by-side versus over-under. Over-unders, if you're shooting trap or skeet or something like that and you're shooting for competition, I think over-unders are better. For me, and I think for a lot of shooters, and that's why you don't see side-by-sides much in competition anymore, partly because over-unders are heavier, so the recoil is less stout than it would be on a light side-by-side. The other thing is the recoil is a little different. So because the barrels are stacked on top of each other, the gun tends to push straight back and up. Whereas on a side-by-side, the barrels are next to each other. So if you fire the right barrel, it tends to naturally want to push back but twist a little bit. And if you hit the left barrel, it pushes back and twists the other way. You won't really notice it unless you fire one and then the other a lot and you start comparing the two. But once you start shooting both, you start to pick up on the slight difference in the recoil. Because the recoil is direct back and up a little bit on the over-unders, they tend to be a little quicker to follow up on the next target than the side-by-sides do. So there's a couple of reasons for them. I think the lockup is probably stronger on the over-unders if you're just doing a volume of shooting like you would do in competition where you're burning through 400 or 500 shots, you know, in a competition. Eventually you're going to wear the gun out. Now, on the other hand, I'm of the opinion that side-by-sides are better in the field for several reasons. I think the other thing, too, is that I've noticed, too, with a lot of folks going back to the over-unders, side-by-sides have a really wide view when you're looking down them. You're supposed to be looking at the target, the bird, not the barrel, not the bead. But a lot of times people get distracted by the wide barrels out in front of them, and that can tend to screw them up. Whereas the narrow sighting plane on an over-under, they tend to kind of ignore that and just focus on the bird. So the point is, if you're focused on the bird, it doesn't matter, but the wide barrels tend to get people distracted if they don't shoot them a lot. Now, in the field, I like these guns better. And there's a few reasons why, not least of which is that they're light. And as a result of the fact that they're light and the way that they're set up and the way that the stock is set up and the balance of them, they're just supremely balanced. I think they're balanced much better than any over-under I've ever picked up. So they're quick to the shoulder, light, and really quick on the bird. So if you're out in the field, particularly for anything upland game, if you're shooting upland game of any kind, these things just win the prize every day, all day long. I'll take them out for upland game and I feel like I can't miss. And it's because they're on the shoulder quickly, they're on the bird quickly, and pow, and you've got your limit in no time at all. Now, I did go out and take it to shoot trap with it. I'm not distracted by the barrels, and the recoil doesn't bother me at all, and so trap with this thing was a joy. My son did beat me, but he was the competitor, and we laughed a lot with it. And I was also getting used to the gun. I hadn't really fired it before, so I missed a few targets there. But after I figured it out, now I was getting close to running them every time. So this thing is really a beautiful shotgun, and it was a lot of joy to shoot. So Elsie Smiths are awesome. If you have not picked one up or seen it, if you ever get a chance to, I encourage you to pick it up and view it and look at it. If somebody ever has one and they're willing to let you fire it and go knock some clays out of the sky with it, boy, take them up on it, because it's an experience you're not going to have twice in your life probably. If you have one, you already know what I'm going to tell you, and that is when people get these, they don't sell them. If they're in good shape like this thing, they don't sell them, because if they're shotgunners like I am, this is a prize right here. These little Elsie Smiths, they're just, the sweet Elsies they're called sweet Elsies for a reason. They're just sweeter than wine. So if you're kind of comparing wines against wines, I guess. I love over-unders as well, but I got to tell you, for field work and just for nostalgia as well, the really quality made, high quality side-by-sides like this one are just worth their weight in gold. Anyway, that's the Elsie Smith. This one made in between 1946 and 1948. I haven't been able to figure it out. This is a 16 gauge double side-by-side. It is in fabulous condition, and it is just an absolute joy to shoot. I had a great time with it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. I got a bunch more videos coming up. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday with family and friends. Take care. Be safe.